Now that we've looked at x-intercepts in particular, I want to go back and look at graphing as a whole from the vertex form. So here we have a problem where it is in vertex form, and I want us to go through the entire process of graphing it. So these are essentially the 4 steps you follow. Is it up or down? What's the vertex? What's the y-intercept and its reflection point? And then what are the x-intercepts? You do these 4 steps, you're going to have a graph, okay? So let's start at the top. Does this graph open up or down? Well, if it opens up or down, that depends on whatever a is, right? And a is the number right in front of the equation. Well, what number is in front of the equation? It's just a negative sign. So that means a is -1. If a is negative, the graph opens down. So this is a down graph. So step 1 is already done. Step 2, what is the vertex? Remember, in vertex form, so when the equation looks like this, finding the vertex is pretty easy. You just take this number inside the parentheses, and you take the last number in the equation, and all you have to do is this number is your x-coordinate, but remember the sign is flipped, and then you just put that as your y-coordinate. So the vertex here is going to be 1, 4. That's my vertex. I take the opposite of the number in the parentheses, and then I just put the end number as my y-coordinate. So 1, 4, I'm going to go ahead and graph that. It's right here. So that is the first point on my parabola. Next, y-intercepts. All right. In order to find the y-intercept, all you have to do is in the equation, you set the x equal to 0. So instead of writing x here, you're going to write a 0, and then you just solve the equation. So let's do that. Y equals negative, and instead of writing an x, I'm going to write a 0, minus 1 squared plus 4. Okay. Now all we're doing is solving for y here. So just solve this entire side of the equation, the entire right side, and you'll get your answer. So y equals -1 squared plus 4. -1 squared, whoops, there's supposed to be a negative sign right there, I missed it. -1 squared is +1. Okay. So I'm going to put a 1 there because that's -1 squared, but I still have this negative in front that gets tacked on, okay? Plus 4. So the y-intercept is going to be -1 plus 4, 3. So, whoops, what is going on? Get rid of that. Don't know why that happened. So the y-intercept is 3. I don't know why my mouse isn't working here. All right, so y-intercept is 3. Now what you have to do is find its reflection point. So what we can do is we can look at the vertex, which was 1, 4, remember? And the x-coordinate of the vertex is your axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is this line at x equals 1. Which means that in order to find the reflection point of the y-intercept, you just take the distance to the axis of symmetry, and then you go that distance on the other side of it, and it'll give you the reflection point of the y-intercept. So if my y-intercept is here, there's a distance of 1 to the axis of symmetry. So from the axis of symmetry, I'm going to go a distance of 1, and that is where the reflection point is going to be. So right there. The last step is to find your x-intercepts, which is what we went over in the last video. That is where you set y equal to 0, and then solve all the way through to get your 2 x values, all right? And we'll have to do that in the next video.